upbuild your kingdom here on earth.
Yes.
So God, we thank you for everyone who has come. Thank you for the visitors who will be coming. And it is in the mighty name of Jesus that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Again, we want to welcome you and thank you for coming to this session of the Los Angeles Clergy Development Council. We're gathered here today to share with you some vital information that will assist you in doing great things in your communities. We give you information that will not only allow you to help the community, but it is also information that will be vital in helping your ministry. That is our goal for having you to come on today. This time I'm going to ask Pastor Steve Richardson to come, and he will take the session a little further. Thank you.
Good afternoon, each and every one of you.
Good afternoon.
I hope that you are well. Because if you are here, you're actually in a much better place than a lot of people that we're trying to serve. Amen.
Amen.
A lot of you have ministries which have already set out to help people, right? We're here to talk about how we can help people. And one way that we can help people is to not just feed them and clothe them, but also find a way that we can house them. And often, we as the people of the faith community have the heart to serve. We'll put dollars out to serve. We'll do it out of our heart and with great passion. But we cannot do it in a way that is sustainable if we don't have some type of an income stream that makes it so that we can actually turn it into an institution that continually runs to help people. So the strategy came that we began to look at over the last couple of years. What if some church decided, like West LACDC? Anybody familiar with West LACDC? If you're not familiar with them, they are a church in Los Angeles, West Angeles church, Bishop Blake. They decided to house the seniors and house people that needed housing, and they've been blessed to do over 450 units so far, with many more that are coming, right? And how does a church go from just having church and just having a feeding program and just getting close to people to being a community citizen that says we will help with what we have, right? So the purpose of today is to begin to start the conversation with many so that we can begin to dialogue with one another about the issue and hopefully come to some type of solution that can be provided with some of the churches that are out there, because having housing on your land or something like that is not for every church. I don't believe that to be so. But I do believe that if the church has been endowed by God with certain resources, like big parking lots that are simply manicured without cars on them anymore, a better use will be to have people that are living there that were once sleeping in front of the church. Because often you come on a Sunday and you have to step over a person to get into the church. Anybody get that? Okay, I'm talking to the right room then, because I'm here in Long Beach. I pastor here in Long Beach. We go under the bridges and we feed folks in Long Beach. We go under the bridges and we take clothes to people in Long Beach. We go under the bridges and take Bibles to people in Long Beach. We house people from Long Beach, but we were often housing people by using the relationships that I've been able to form by being in the real estate community for the last 15 years full time, okay? And I say that because I know owners and I know managers that manage thousands of units, and what we did, we would go under the bridge and we find people and ask them if they have Section 8 vouchers. Because often you have a person that's under a bridge that has a Section 8 voucher in their bag and they're sleeping under a bridge in a tent, even though they have the money to have a unit. And it would hurt my heart when I would find people out there sleeping in a tent with a voucher, and no one had helped them to actually go through that application process to help them to move into a unit. So we would go out there, take them a hot meal, provide clothes, provide toiletries, bring them back to the office, and fill out the application with them. Call the MSC, call the village, call HUD, or whoever it is, then call the management company, and all of a sudden you have a person that had no hope, even though they had gone through the process and had a voucher, so they had the money, because all they need is GR, right? And then we move them into a unit. We move people out of parks. We move people out under the bridge. We move people out from Lincoln Park when it was still there. Wherever we find will make sense. Okay? And this is one of the things that we do within the Clergy Council. We help churches to understand other ways that they can develop revenue streams while helping people and doing ministry. And one of the revenue streams that you can have is if you have a CDC, you can develop a mental health program. You can get signed up with DMH and become one of their service providers, because we do outreach, but we just don't get paid for it. And I know I'm talking to the right room, because we have people in our churches that want to go out and help the people, and they go out and help the people, but we can't pay them to do it. But they know that they're going to get the reward from the Lord. All right? So we do have a PowerPoint. I'm going to get back to it. I'm a preacher by nature, so you guys are get it. Okay? Who we are, we're a consortium of churches which have come together for the purpose of community and congregational development and empowerment. And why we're here today, to introduce the development effort and build strong relationships within our city. Without relationships, we can't get anything done. If we don't know each other, we can't work together. People often work with people that they know, like, and trust. Our goal for today, to begin uncovering a lasting solution for the issues that we face. And success for today is finding a joint solution to our common issues. Our ultimate objective is to make the church central to the revival and socioeconomic restoration of our community. That's really our overall mission. The services that we provide throughout the Clergy Council, Faith Community Council, we outreach to the reachers and teach the teachers. What am I talking about? We show pastors new information that they may not have. We'll take them and sit them at the table of the politicians so that they have a voice with the politician. We speak directly to the politicians to let them know exactly what the needs are of the church are in our community, so that their legislation does not just directly affect the church community without helping the church community. Because if you really dig down and see what has happened over the last 30 years, there's been legislation that's happened throughout the city of Los Angeles that has been, what's the word for it? Destructive toward the inner city. I'm going to show you some, I'll tell you the statistics. LA County, 49,500 people are homeless. LA County. SPA 4 and SPA 6, which means Service Planning Area 4 and 6 in the city of Los Angeles, have 22,405 of those people. So over 35% of the homeless in the whole county live in the inner city in the city of Los Angeles. That makes absolutely no sense to me. And a lot of the people that are here today have churches that are in the inner city, and they serve that community. But how is it that the whole county has 50,000, but one small swath of land was able to absorb that many people that have no place to stay? Doesn't make any sense to me. And I began to do research, guys, because I know that something had to happen that caused it to be so. And I found that there's been neighborhood councils that have been fighting against the inner city, so that some legislation was made to benefit them, but did not benefit the inner city. And I know we're not here to talk about this today, but it's something that has affected us, that even has caused it so that churches that decided that they wanted to expand their borders and put up affordable housing or put up senior housing, didn't have the zoning so they could. All right. So we're going to get there, because in the city of Los Angeles right now, they're changing the legislation to actually benefit South LA. If you look around, there is the CPIO that's going through planning right now, and it's going to affect South and Southeast LA. And this may be over your heads right now, but please do the research. Because what I'm talking about is something that we're talking about in the back rooms right now, in the city hall and in the governmental offices, because we want the church to be benefited by this new plan update. Because if upzoning is happening in the city, it needs to happen where the churches are, so that the churches can benefit from the upzone. Because if the churches get a benefit from the upzone, then the church can actually address the problem directly, instead of having to take from the people to give to the streets, when everyone else gets monies from the government to help the people in the street. So, homeless services, we address the homeless crisis directly through capacity building and outreach. Affordable housing, we actually actively facilitate the development of affordable and bridge housing. And church endowment, we can consult in the development of sustainable ministry.
Financially sustainable ministry.
What does that mean? When the preacher doesn't have to get up and ask for an offering 4 times. Because a lot of people don't want to go to church because people are asking for offerings too much. They often will stay outside of the church because they feel like if they go to that church, the pastor is driving a big Rolls Royce and everybody else is driving Ford Pintos and they don't understand what's going on. Sometimes you see that. I got to be honest. There have been some abuses that have happened where people simply go and ask for money more so than putting money into the street. Because if we're asking and we're saying be a blessing to the house of God needs to also be a blessing to the community. Amen? Amen. All right. So we want to help churches to actually obtain endowments. And how can they do that? By being in a position where they have a financial system that has been created by the works that they do today. We're also into and advocate for civic engagement. We're here to lend an ear and our voice into public policy, even according to Isaiah 96, where it says the government shall be on his shoulders. We're here to be part of the government and here to make sure that God's voice is put into the legislation so that when legislation passes, it benefits everybody, not just the people at the top anymore. Also, community uplift. We're here to restore our community, Isaiah 58:12. And we're here to provide education. We educate leaders on the truth, current issues, the things that affect our community. 1 John 2 and 20. You'll meet some of these guys today. Pastor E.L. Williams, if you just put your hand up. He's one of the founding pastors, as well as Pastor Robert Taylor. He's one of the founding pastors. And then Pastor Winford Bell, who happens to be in Philadelphia right now. He couldn't be here today. And then myself. I happen to be here today. Bernard Dorian, he should be walking through the room. Linda Kirk works with us. She's also a Long Beach native. If you're from Long Beach and been around Molina Healthcare, you probably know Linda Kirk. And of course myself, I pop up again. Here are our target enemies. And after this, I'm done. I'm going to sit down after I show you a couple graphs. All right. Homelessness and housing. We have continued to address these 2 major issues that are directly affecting our communities, where we live and serve as fellow citizens of this great city. The housing crisis, the number of individuals that will experience homelessness continues to rise. Okay? Many families with less than 120% AMI are precariously housed. Now, what does precariously housed mean? And that means if you're paying out over 50% of what you bring in just for your housing, you're considered precariously housed. So what happens as values continue to rise and real estate investors come in and buy buildings? They raise the rents. And as rents raise, the homeless population continues to rise because they can't afford to stay where they've stayed for many, many years. That's what happens when you'll see people will go away to college from their neighborhood, and when they come back, their neighborhood is completely changed. Because gentrification has caused people to have to move out as people move in. And now the young man who grew up in Silver Lake can no longer afford to be there. But even worse than that, I was just at the city council meeting here in the city of Long Beach just a few days ago. And there was a group of individuals that came from one particular property. There was a 45-unit senior affordable dwelling place. But in Long Beach, since there is no rent control, the seniors are being put out. Now you're dealing with people that are veterans on fixed incomes that are receiving notices that their rent will be raised by $300 the next month. And if they're only receiving $1,100 a month, and the rent was already $600 a month, that puts them at $900 a month going out and $200 to live on. They ended up having to move out. So they were there before the mayor and the city council saying, we need relief, we need relief. And we've come to find out that even within our council, we have access to monies that are in the county that can help these people. But if the people don't know that the monies are available, they can't get the help. There is a gap fund that's been set aside for seniors in the county of Los Angeles that will help people that are in this situation. So if you guys run into this situation with anybody that you reach out or come in contact with, please do reach out to us, myself, Pastor Williams, Pastor Taylor, and we will help facilitate them staying in their unit. Is that all right? Okay. Now, they're severely cost burdened, spending over 50% of their income on housing, and 92% California Housing Partnership aid. LACDC responds to the crisis, community-based social programming, sustainable church model, to include community development, affordable housing, retention, housing development, economic development, commercial retail development, ministerial capacity building, and community programs that are fully funded. It's time out to only have community programs that are not funded. So the LA homeless count remains at crisis level. There are 49,955, 22,561 in spot 4 and spot 6, according to LACDC. This is actually a guy that I met right here by the LA River. 45% of the county homeless live in spot 4 and spot 6 in South LA. There's also a disproportionate level of blacks. If the black population are 9% of LA population, but 33% of LA is homeless. How does that make any sense? If 9% of the population actually make up 30% of the homeless people. Spot 4 and spot 6 families, there are 3,031 families that are living on the street in spot 4 and spot 6. 3,031. You're talking about kids. Here's a citywide view. 45% of LA County homeless live in spot 4 and spot 6. 93% are severely cost burdened. 33% are African American. 22% have a chronic illness in spot 4 and spot 6. That's 5,185 individuals that have a chronic illness. Isaiah 58:12 says, "Some of you will rebuild the ruins of your cities. Then you'll be known as rebuilders of walls and restorers of homes." Isaiah 58:12. And in the other King James Version, it says that you'll be called the repairers of the breach. If you've been in church before, you've heard that before. Here is our mission. 2 Chronicles 7:14 says that my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. Then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land. The church is coming back to the altar to seek the guidance from the Lord to receive that promise. We confess that many sins have ravaged our community over the decades. We've had problems with drugs, gangs, and crimes, disinvestment and mismanagement in the inner city. We confess that that is true. But we turn to God and rely on Him to heal us and give us the capacity to do this restorative work. And through diligent planning, we will implement all plans to heal the community of South LA. The end result will be the sick will be healed, the homeless will be housed, the impoverished employed, the church empowered, and children playing in safer streets. New housing will be built, and streets will be restored. Can we give the Lord amen? Amen. That's why we're here. We're here to hear all that. And see, the thing is, it takes the church to stand up and say, you know, we're going to actually do something about it. Because we're always doing something about it anyway. Amen. Right? We are. We can't say that we don't have social programs in place, because we all do. This man right here, Pastor Misi, if you go to Mr. at 8 a.m. on any Sunday morning, you'll see about 300 homeless people in there. And at the end of the service, they all get a meal. And then 2 of the Sundays out of the month, all of them leave with $5 in their pocket. Amen. That's the $5 church, his church. Amen. You may not know it because he won't say it. But then, on Thanksgiving, they cover the whole parking lot. I happened to bring some turkeys in here. But they had the whole spread for 300 people. They do this. They're feeding and they're encouraging. But what happens when the people leave? They go back to their tent under the bridge. Amen. We want to be able to say, my brother, you can go on across the street to the unit. And the counselor will be there to see you later. So he doesn't just get in the unit and then get bounced out in 3 months. Because I got to be as real as I can with everybody that's in this room. If we don't address the whole issue, we'll build housing and the housing will become vacant very, very quickly. Or become destroyed very, very quickly. So we want to wrap the people in services so that when the housing is built, they can keep it. Church strong empowerment model. We're here to empower the church to do the Lord's work. We're here to foster financial independence of the church. We're here to offer capacity building within the congregation. What does that mean? The community, we provide jobs. Not just construction jobs during the building of the building, but also permanent jobs. It turns the church back into the community anchor that it is. It is the cornerstone principle. Every community is built upon a cornerstone. The church is the cornerstone of the community, if people believe it or not. It is not City Hall. City Hall gives legislation. But the church, it actually works on the human level. Sustainable church economic system. With the new developments, the church will have a sustainable economic system because every month they'll receive income from leases if they decide to actually do a development. Every month they'll receive some type of income. And then community training center. The church will also do employment training as well as other training sessions as they see fit. Our aim is to restore the community while building affordable housing, while we address the spiritual needs of people. This is the strategic development plan. So one of the things that we'll do adaptive reuse housing, also do housing development and development of bridge housing. Adaptive reuse is when there's a building that's already there, we repurpose